you may or may not know this, but I used to make these little things called Krunker maps. Right? They're these custom levels, basically, that are made for a little game called Krunker.io. You may have heard of it. And I've made a lot of them over the past 3 years and a half. I started with Heavenbound in 2018, and I've made a total of 18 other major parkour maps since then, along with several other maps and experiments. And I used to really love making these maps, alright? This whole handmade process that I found kind of therapeutic, the whole limitations breed creativity thing, and the fact that I was making these big environments for people to explore and discover things in, and the fact that I could make a name of myself doing it, all just culminated into this perfect kind of hobby for me. Not to mention it fell in line with my career interests of being a game designer. And yeah, it basically changed my life when I discovered it, and it remained one of my favorite hobbies to turn to whenever I had free time. And that was until, I guess, the start of 21, alright? You see, August to December 2018, when I started, I made 5 parkour maps and one race map, all within the span of like 4 months. Throughout 2019, I made 6 parkour maps, along with some other pretty solid non-parkour maps. Even in 2020, when life became kinda shitty, I managed to pump out 6 more parkour maps and a few more experiments. And then came 2021. Funny thing is that I actually got partnered in January of 2021, alright, so at the very beginning of the year. And you'd think that being, a Krunker partner and actually being able to make money off of plays would motivate me to keep up or even become more proliferous with map making, but instead, the opposite happened. Like, last year, 2021, I made a grand total of 2 parkour maps. Yeah, 2 parkour maps, and only one other map. And that other map turned out to be a whole ass game called Saucer Labs, which, in my opinion, counts as 2 maps because of how big it was. But that still leaves us with like 4 maps total throughout 2021, which is less than the total number of parkour maps I've made in years previous. So, yeah. And the most recent of those maps is a map called PK Water Edge, which was published in August of 2021. And now it's April of 2022. So it's been a whole 8 months since then, and I have yet to publish anything new in all that time. So, needless to say, in terms of my Krunker map output, I've been falling off. And there are a few reasons for that I can think of, and yes, one of them, of course, is college. Alright, I know you're probably sick of hearing it, but I can't properly convey how much time this shit takes up. Seriously, like 80% of my time outside of sleeping, eating, and household chores and cooking and stuff has been entirely dedicated to college and an internship with a college. It's a pain in the ass to have to deal with it alongside everything else. Also, as you guys are probably aware, I've kind of distanced myself from the base Krunker game as of late. Alright, I haven't been uploading about it, I haven't been talking about it, I literally made a video months ago saying I was taking a break from the game, and since then that has kind of extended to custom maps as well. And most of my ever-shrinking free time has instead been taken up by making music and playing other games, alright? And I just haven't really given a shit about Krunker for quite some time. And obviously, seeing as though I'm basically done with Krunker, I've barely been involved in Krunker map making at all, at least on the surface. But I assure you, even with all this stuff going on in my life and everything, I'm still powering through, working on a parkour map for Krunker. And it's gonna be a big one, alright? Not quite as big in terms of size or number of points like Parkour Growth or Odyssey, like it's actually more linear than most of my other maps. But in terms of quality and I guess the kind of impact I'm trying to go for here, I'm gonna try and make this my best one yet. I'm not willing to reveal every detail of it yet, but I will say that it's essentially going to be a multi-area map, where you get to tackle each area one at a time, and you can go back to each one at the end, sort of like what I tried to do with PK Water Edge, but more defined and more deliberate and more, I guess, accessible. Like, I'm kind of scared to use that word with this project, but yeah, I guess it's more accessible, right? It's not as obtuse as some of the maps are. I'm also going to have a decent amount of Krunk script in this map, which it's not going to be anything special or like gameplay wise, or it's going to be straight up standard boots to the ground Krunker parkour, I guess, with all the typical parkour mechanics. So it's nothing crazy on that front, but the Krunk script is there for some quality life measures as well as to help define these areas that I mentioned. and to implement a new point system, I guess. I'm also going to make it look beautiful as I usually do, although I'm trying to be a little more conscious about performance and such, or at least as conscious as you can be with the Krunker editor. I'm also going to put in more effort to get it tested and everything so that I don't release it half-baked like I usually do, right? It's going to be a good one, alright? It's a little different than what you may be used to from me, but I think y'all will like it when I do finally release it. And speaking of when I actually plan to release it, and take this with a grain of salt because with my situation right now, things can change on a whim, but I plan at the earliest to have this done by mid-May. Again, at this point, just take the whole shaker because this could easily turn into June, then July, right? Again, college kid. But as of now, I'm on track to have the map pretty much done by the end of May, if I hustle. Then it will take some time to test and everything, but when I finally release this thing, it's gonna be grand. Then after that, I don't know, alright? You've read the title of the video, it might be my last parkour map, or it may not be, alright? Who knows? The thing is, I'm literally gonna be done with college in like 3 months. Like, I'm literally doing a graduation ceremony in 3 weeks, and then I have one more class to do, and then I'm done. I'm literally on my own. Like, straight up, I have to find a job and start an actual career in my field. And because it's game design, and a lot of companies like to throw around non-compete clauses and NDAs and shit like that, that could potentially mess with whether or not I'm even allowed to make them, even if I wanted to make them. Again, I said earlier that I'm not exactly on good terms with the game itself, and there's a good chance that this break I've been on will turn out to be a permanent one, alright? Like, I still haven't really been interested in playing the game, even with all the big updates recently. As such, yeah, there's a good chance this may be my last parkour map, or at least one of my last ones. So I'm gonna give this as much of my all as I possibly can, alright? And I know this whole video makes me seem all doom and gloomy and unmotivated and all, but, well, I guess that's why I'm making this video, alright? To prove that I do have the motivation, and I'm still working on this, and I'm still alive, and I'm still kicking with one foot because my other foot's broken right now. Kind of a long story there. And bread. Yeah, bread. But only stuffed cheesy bread, not the white ass shit.